Scotland, Shield and Weir, we love you. Graham, Shield and Doddie Weir, bringing their own fan club.
Doddie Weir, the youngster, pushed off the front by Doddie Weir.
And Scotland have responded. 5 metres from New Zealand's goal line. Can they get it? They haven't just got it, they've scored. It's Doddie Weir, the scorer. Doddie Weir, the man from Melrose, scores only his second try for his country, but that is a crucial score.
Doddie's Sunday name is George, and George Wilson Weir, OBE, was born 4th of July 1970. A farmer's son from the Scottish borders, where we are based, with 61 rugby union international appearances at lock for the Scotland national team, he remains the only Scot to have scored 2 tries against New Zealand. Born in Edinburgh, Doddie is a well-educated chap, attending Stuart Melville College and then gaining an HND at the Scottish Agricultural College from 1988 to 1991. Weir started playing rugby for Stuart Melville's FP RFC, then he played for Melrose RFC in the Borders and was part of the team that won 6 Scottish Club Championships. Doddie's first senior appearance for Scotland was the 10th of November 1990 against Argentina at our national stadium Murrayfield. A mainstay of the team throughout the 1990s, he later moved to England in 1995 to join the Newcastle Falcons and was part of the Premiership winning side of 1977 to 1998. In 1997, he was the first recipient of the famous Grouse Scotland Player of the Five Nations Award and was also selected as part of the British and Irish Lions Tour of South Africa in the same year. Whilst on tour, he suffered a serious knee injury as a result of foul play, sadly ruling him out for the rest of the tour. His final appearance for Scotland was in the Six Nations Championship match against France at Murrayfield on the 4th of March 2000. Doddie then moved back to Scotland to join the newly reformed Borders team in 2002, where he remained until his retirement from professional rugby. He finished his playing career together with former Scotland captain Gary Armstrong at the Border Reivers in 2004. This is the first time I became interested in rugby, having recently moved to the Scottish Borders myself, where rugby is much more dominant than football, and very quickly I could tell that Doddie was a fan favourite. Those early days of being introduced to rugby via Doddie and the Border Reivers led me to go on to play rugby at Jedburgh Grammar School, and then after a 13-year gap for Kelso Ladies. My favourite description of Doddie has to be by commentator Bill McLaren, who described him as being on the charge like a mad giraffe.
Our relationship with Doddie goes back a long way to the days of Pony Club, and one of my childhood memories is of Doddie competing at the Prince Philip Cup Games. It was a fast and furious races where kids on their ponies are galloping up and down, moving things around, moving flags, picking things up off the ground and having a lot of fun. While the rest of us had to jump off and pick the potato or object off the ground, Doddie, with his massive long arms, just leant right down and scooped his up, barely slackening the pace. We used little ponies for this, and Doddie's lanky legs almost reached the ground. That image will always be in my head, along with the cheek he used to give the organisers at every event. People might not realise that Doddie went on to become quite the equestrian, eventing at a pretty high level until his serious rugby career took over. My husband Neil was lucky enough to play rugby at Melrose alongside the Mad Giraffe, and they were both part of the team that won 6 Scottish Club Championships. As well as being a fantastic player on the pitch, Doddie certainly also made the clubhouse a brighter place, and my Neil has many stories from their carry-ons, many that I am not allowed to share here. This is what's made the Doddie Foundation so strong and the support so amazing. Doddie is just such a genuinely lovely guy, loved by every community he becomes a part of.
Not one to blend in, Doddie has become well known for his tartan fashion choices. And although this started with his McFarlane hunting modern kilt during his wedding to Cathy, he soon veered away from the traditional kilt into his iconic tartan suits. We think Doddie's first suit was in the official Iron Brew tartan, so he's clearly a fan of Scotland's unofficial national drink. We have of course made him a pair of shoes in his own Weir tartan for his brother's wedding, but he often opts for brighter tartans to suit the occasion, and as Doddie added to his tartan wardrobe, he chose the Aberdeen tartan, just loving the colours, but his next suit in the Pride of Scotland ancient tartan was as a result of Doddie's wife Cathy asking, could we have a nice tartan for once? Not everyone likes as bold a tartan as Doddie. With a spell playing for Newcastle Falcons as part of his career, Doddie can also be found in his black and white tartan shoes, Menzies black and white tartan, keeping the guests in hospitality amused. We always have a laugh when 2 days before he is due to be on TV or host an event, Doddie comes on the phone and says he needs a new outfit and what can we do to match the theme. Somehow we managed to charm the poor seamstress to pull it all together in time. The 2013 commentary job for Melrose Sevens was no exception. The home of Rugby Sevens is in Melrose, which is only half an hour from our headquarters, and the colours of Melrose RFC are black and yellow, so this seemed an obvious choice for Doddie's outfit, and guaranteed he wouldn't be missed while carrying out his pitchside interviews. The Barclay Dress Modern is the tartan, in case you're wondering what that bright yellow and black was. Next up was a Buchanan Modern suit made in a bale of Harris tweed gifted to Doddie by a rugby club during one of his many speaking engagements. Another planned feature in his wardrobe is the Chisholm tartan. Not too sure why he chose that one, maybe he just liked the colours. Not content with just one tartan as suits, Doddie's next request was for his McFarlane suit to feature both the McFarlane Clan Modern and the green McFarlane Hunting Modern, as a nod to Doddie's mum's side of the family, who are all McFarlanes. This suit has had many outings, including when Doddie opened our flagship store in Edinburgh. Now that Doddie knew he could choose multiple tartans, his next creation was a 4-tartan suit for the 2017 Lions Tour in New Zealand. It took a bit of choosing, but he finally settled for Pride of Scotland Modern for his home country, and Pride of Ireland and Wales were an easy and natural choice. England, on the other hand, was much harder. So in the end, we opted for a red and white tartan, and Lewis Red finished off the quartet of Lions tartans.
When we opened our Edinburgh shop, we wanted to have an icon of Scotland to mark the occasion, and what better personality than our friend and tartan fan, Doddie. Opening the shop was quite daunting, our first bricks and mortar operation, and Doddie was the perfect antidote to my nerves, making his usual jokes and charming the crowd. Our aim is always to offer a great Scottish welcome and top quality products made in Scotland, and Doddie is just that. And also, if we can make him a perfectly fitting suit and a multitude of tartans, then what can't we do?
Doddie is now facing his biggest challenge. In June 2017, he revealed that he was suffering from motor neuron disease. From the outset, Doddie has been driven to help fellow sufferers and seek ways to further research into this as yet incurable disease. In November 2017, Doddie and his trustees launched the registered charity, My Name’5 Doddie Foundation. My Name’5 Doddie Foundation. Their vision is simple: a world free of MND. The number 5 is a special number for the foundation, and it features in the foundation's name and is a reference to Doddie's playing number and the jersey he wore when he earned his 61 caps for Scotland. The foundation is committed to helping improving the lives of those affected by motor neuron disease, helping to fund grants and giving considerable sums to the MND Association and MND Scotland to administer to individuals and families living with MND. In the same month as founding the foundation, Doddie took Murrayfield by storm as he rolled back the years and strolled onto the Murrayfield turf, flanked by his 3 sons, Hamish, Ben and Angus, to an incredible reception from the crowd, who had moments earlier heard Doddie talk about his passion for the game, playing at Murrayfield, and his response to being diagnosed with MND. The logo of his newly launched charity was emblazoned on the centre of the pitch, leaving no one in any doubt about the aims the big man had set himself: to raise the profile of MND, raise funds to aid research and support others touched by this devastating disease. Doddie shook hands with captains John Barclay and Kieran Reid before presenting the match ball to referee Matthew Carley of England. All of this had been a surprise to the crowd, but after helping Doddie get the boys kitted out for the match, I knew that this was set to be a memorable night. Knowing what was to come, I don't think I've ever been so excited for the start of a Scotland match. And after seeing Doddie appear on the screen, I immediately stood up and started cheering like a crazy woman, knowing what was about to come. And as soon as he walked out, within seconds Murrayfield lit up and I was no longer the lone lady going a bit daft. The national anthem is always a rousing moment within the stadium, but this topped that for sure, a night I'll never forget. The idea of a Doddie tartan had been one discussed for several years, and I was delighted when Doddie finally said, let's do it. Following the launch of the foundation, this gave the project a whole new meaning. Once the decision had been made, the serious business of colour and set design began. The most obvious place to start was by looking back over Doddie's career in the clubs he played for. So the initial list included red for the Lions in Stuart's Melville, as well as the Border Reivers, white for Scotland, Newcastle Falcons and the Border Reivers, blue for Scotland, yellow for Melrose, and black for Melrose, Newcastle Falcons and the Border Reivers. It's quite traditional for tartans to have 5 colours, and given the significance of the number 5 for Doddie and the foundation, this seemed like the perfect colour palette. But Doddie is a man of his own mind, and 4 colours it was to be, with red being dropped from the selection. We played around with many layouts of the pattern and went through many shades of blue, but looking back at the alternative designs, I really do think we made the right decision. Designing a tartan for anyone is special, but especially for someone like Doddie. Seeing the tartan being worn by so many at Murrayfield, and even sometimes when I pop to the local supermarket, is an amazing feeling, knowing that all of this is going to support the work of the foundation. Tartan Ted set off from Murrayfield on the 1st of October, and with the help of rugby clubs across Scotland, England and Wales, as he travelled around Scotland, England and Wales, he gathered stories, photos and selfies with as many players and fans as he could along the way, making his way eventually to Cardiff for the newly formed Doddie Cup. 20% from the sale of every item in Doddie's tartan goes directly to the My Name’5 Doddie Foundation. There's only one man who can wear the tartan suit that he's so famous for, but we can make items to order in the Doddie tartan, and we've got the stock range, so show your support. Doddie's Ted made it down to Cardiff in time for the November 3rd initial Doddie Cup, which saw Scotland take on Wales in a special match during the autumn tests that year. This fixture is now played as part of the Six Nations. Unfortunately, Scotland one of the 5 times that it's been played for, but hopefully we continue to regain that cup. The night before the Doddie's Cup, Jill Douglas hosted an evening with Doddie and a dinner set up by Welsh Rugby on the eve of the new Doddie Weir Cup. Jill obviously needed a hot date for the evening and took Ted along with her so that Ted could catch up with Doddie, Gary Armstrong and Carl Hogg along with the newly designed cup. Both Gregor Townsend and Sean Edwards were in attendance, so Ted was put in charge of guarding the cup to make sure neither coach tried to make off with it before the teams had a chance to take to the pitch. We were delighted that Ted managed to make it to Cardiff, and don't worry, although the Doddie Weir Cup has passed for this year, Ted can still be seen out and about at other events supporting the My Name’5 Doddie Foundation. Hamilton Inches on George Street is a workshop known for creating some truly unique pieces, and they were commissioned to make Doddie's Cup. So Chief Executive Stephen Patterson couldn't have been more delighted to take on the project and show his support for the My Name’5 Doddie Foundation. As Doddie said, he wasn't sure why the cup had such enormous lugs, but I mean, we all know what Doddie looks like, so I'm sure you can figure that one out for yourself. With all of the fundraising that Doddie's gone on to do for MND, supporting many people with this horrible disease, it's of course only right that he's been recognised for all of his hard work. So he's gone on to receive numerous awards, including his OBE. So of course for all of these awards he needed suits to match the occasion. It's been great to see all of the ways that Doddie's tartan's been used since its initial creation. From boats and buses to lorries and cups and rugby balls, all sorts of things. So keep sending us your photos, as we always love to see them and see Doddie's hard work being shared by all.
5 years on from Doddie's appearance at Murrayfield when launching the foundation, it was fantastic to see him return once again to deliver the match ball in what turned out to be one of the most emotional Scotland games I've ever been to. We always feel incredibly honoured to see Doddie's tartan used in so many fantastic ways, but seeing Scotland actually play wearing the tartan on the back of their shirts was an incredible feeling.
It's been my absolute honour and privilege to work with Doddie creating his tartan and raising funds for MND. So please visit the website, buy some of the fantastic products that we've produced and contribute to funding the research into MND. You can find more stories about Doddie on our blog, on our social media, our YouTube channel, so sign up to the newsletter and you'll receive updates on all the new Doddie products coming out in his tartan. And if you're interested in more stories about Scotland, then make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.